Hey, what's up YouTube? Coming back with a video on the Wee Knives Fornix, this new release that's still not out yet actually. It's supposed to be coming out, like I said, on the 30th of this month, so within a few days here. I had it in pocket since the last video, so just for a couple of days. I'm really enjoying this knife. There's a couple small details I want to go over with you guys that I just kind of realized carrying this thing. And we're going to get inside this and see what it's running on. I mean, we know it's bearings, but I've had a couple of people comment on the last video to see if there's any washers in there to make sure that or to check, I guess, if the bearings are running on the titanium or if there's a washer to protect the bearings from creating a race on the titanium itself. Some people have an issue with that. Some knives don't have that protection, and those knives work fine. Benchmade Anthem, for example, I could think of off bat, has bearings and it runs right on the titanium, and some people don't like that because they feel like after a while the bearings obviously create a track and slowly but surely just kind of eats away at the titanium. But I don't really think that's an issue, so we'll just look inside and see what exactly these bearings are doing in here, what it's running on. So all right, let's see. Okay, so I got this little Weeha selector thing here, works out great. Now I'm kind of in an awkward position. I'm not really set up to be doing all kinds of disassemblies with my camera in front of me, so you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit on that. Let's see, I think this is gonna be a T8. Let's see. Okay, so the pivot is a T8, and it looks like the body screws are also. I wonder if I'm going to be able to. Okay, so we should be golden with the T8s. All right. Hopefully this thing's not Loctited in there or whatnot. So let's see what we got here. And since I can't take off the pivot on the show side, we're going to just try to disassemble it from this spring side here. All right. That seems to be backing out quite easy. Just like to take it nice and easy on these pivots and apply pressure, obviously. Okay, so that does not seem to be Loctited. It's in there some. All right, let's see if I can back it out the rest of the way. All right. It's a beefy little screw there. All right, you know what, I have let me set a rag down so that I don't lose any of the hardware here. This would be a better idea if I get set up properly. There we go, pivot screw. All right, let's see. This thing's pretty neat, if you guys don't know what this is all about. So the bit selector, got your Torx in here, got your little deal, sits in here. Pretty handy. All right, let's see. So this knife is a definitely a pleasure to carry. Very happy with it. One thing I wanted to bring up quick too is that the whole entire knife is so chamfered and smooth. Like literally the entire knife, even up here, like everything is just so smooth and contoured. It's great. So I'll get into a couple of things when we're done reassembling it. It's going to be a little bit of a long video, and I want to touch on a couple of things. All right. See if we can pull these guys out quick. All right. You can see the difference in size there. The body screws are obviously not as thick as the pivot. So, oh, there we go. Pop. Look at that. Bearings flying out. Oh, look. Washer. Okay, so let's take a look here quick. Okay, so here's the other screw. So what flew out here, what people are asking about, we do have a washer there to, you can see the track there being created, and the steel is obviously going to last much longer than a titanium, so it's going to last, so the life of this knife is going to be extended. So we do have the bearings running on washers. That's nice. All right, let's open this guy up. Let's see here. Get it out. Tight tolerances. Come on. Check this out here. What's going on here? There we go. Wow, that's pretty tight tolerances. The hell is this? Some lint. Okay, so as we can see here, oh, it's got some numbering there. We do have our ceramic ball bearings that are caged. It looks like brass. Here's our pivot. Suppose we'll wipe all this down too while we're in here. And there's our washer. So as you can see, our bearings are not running on the titanium. So some people are going to be happy about that. I know I'm happy about that. And you could see what we got going on here with this pivot. It doesn't spin because you see that there's a little notch there of titanium that fits in a groove right here. So that's always good to see, because I mean there are some really high-end knives that don't even have this feature, and you got to put two different screws on either side, otherwise your pivot's going to continue to spin. So you could see they went out of their way and made sure that we're not going to have those problems. So let me wipe some of this stuff down quick. Where are we at? All right. Let me see here. I should have had all my stuff nice and ready, but of course I don't. Thought I had some alcohol around here somewhere to wipe this stuff off, but I guess I don't know where it is, so I'm just gonna use a dry paper towel. Just wipe off some of the parts here. So anyway, let's see here. We do have ceramic detent. So we got a ceramic detent there. We have an over travel stop here. So that obviously keeps you from hyperextending this lock bar. You can see there, because in the past, I mean, I've never done this, never really seen it, but some guys complain about, or on some of the forums, there have been some guys who have had issues with frame locks, where they would disengage the knife, and you know, without this stop here, you can actually push past and end up eventually taking that spring tension out of here and rendering the knife pretty much useless. So it's nice to see that most knives are obviously coming with this nowadays. So that's nice. You can see where it hits, bumps up against there. So that's always a good feature to see. Another thing that I wanted to detail too that I noticed is the screws on the pocket clip fit nice and flush with the backside here of the scale. It's nice and flush. Some other knives do have the screws that extend out just a hair, or maybe, you know, just a little bit, or maybe they don't come all the way flush. They're a little bit sunk in still. So it's real nice detail to see that the screws actually fit exactly. They're literally like just perfectly flush there pretty much. So that's definitely nice to see. Another thing I wanted to point out since we're back here is the hole here at the back of the knife for a lanyard is actually, you can see it's beveled and scooped out in the back here, so that when you put your lanyard through, the lanyard doesn't have to sit so wide on the knife. You know, it has this same scoop out on the other side of the scale. So that's kind of a nice feature as well. You can see that here. So when you do put that lanyard, like I said, it's gonna be nice and narrow. It's not gonna be all wide. Make sure we're focusing. All right. We got 2 standoffs. I'm pretty sure these are all titanium. Everything on this knife's titanium. Let's see here. And you can see here, some knives don't have this portion here raised where it actually sits inside. You can see how there's a cutout here where that recessed portion sits flush against the shoulder here, and it creates a lot more strength when the knife is being torqued on, and it basically prevents the screw itself from taking any excess pressure on the actual screw or the threads itself. So when you have shouldering like that, it's gonna extend the life again of the knife, and it just shows more or less some more detail. They didn't have to do that. There are some more expensive knives, once again, that I've seen where they don't have that feature. It's literally just the standoff that just sits right on the scale, and then you screw them on, and the standoff is basically just kind of free floating, more or less. It's kind of sliding around, whereas this one you can see it's nice and shouldered. So that's definitely a good thing to see. So, and I'm pretty sure it'll be shouldered on both sides. I'm not going to take this side out just because we don't really have to, but I'm pretty sure it'll be shouldered on both sides. And then you can see the number here is the same on this side, I believe, or was that on here? Or that's just, yep. So matching numbers there. Okay, let me finish wiping this up quick. Also, it has an internal stop pin, so it doesn't have a stop pin that is part of the frame or anything like that. It actually just has it pinned into the tang of the blade itself, so that's pretty nice to see as well. Another cool feature. Just makes the knife look more streamlined. So when a knife's put together and you look at the back of it, you don't see a pin back there. It's actually hidden, so that's pretty neat. We got a nice detent hole there. You have our marking of the blade, CPM 20CV, really small. You could barely see it. And then you have the number here, 207 out of 410. This is a limited run, and I honestly wish that it wasn't, because this knife is pretty amazing. So also the jimping, the only jimping on this knife is on the flipper tab, and it's absolutely perfect in my opinion. It's rounded just enough to where you could flip this all day long and not have any ripping of your finger or discomfort, but at the same time it has just enough to bite and give you that purchase that you need to flip the knife. It is absolutely perfect jimping in my opinion. Just perfect. You can see there, it's not sharp, but it does catch. So great job on them for that. Then you can see the lock face here. Nice geometry on the lock face. It has a nice the way it locks up. I believe we're at 30% when it locks up. We'll have to check that out, but it's a pretty early lockup. So We Knives is definitely a company that knows how to make quality knives. These are made in China, obviously, but they're not cheaply made. So We could see here, these are nice sized ball bearings as well. Got some nice rotation there on them. They all rotate nice and free. And usually you see some of these cage ball bearings in plastic. They'll have like a plastic washer. So it's just, I guess it doesn't really matter what the material the bearings are in, but it's nice to see that it looks like some type of, I want to say like brass or something. So that's pretty neat. All right, let me see. I think we're gonna put this knife back together quick. The pocket clip is a little bit of a hot spot for me. I mean, it's not uncomfortable per se. It doesn't poke me as far as like sharp. It's very well rounded off, but you do feel it. It fits in a pocket great. So I mean, it is what it is. You can see how it scoops up pretty high. Does grab material really nice. I was a little bit worried about this scoop out here being so close to the clip, because when you put the knife in your pocket, sometimes the jean fabric or your pants material can get caught in that little ledge there. But one thing they did, see if we can focus. One thing is that you can see that the scoop is actually slanted. So I don't know if that really makes a difference or not, but it just helps the material roll right off, right past the clip. So I have not had an issue with this knife getting caught or hung up on my pocket on the way out. I have had some knives in the past where, the scoop here can get in the way of trying to pull the knife out of your pocket. It starts to get snagged up and stuff. So not an issue with this knife. So as you can see, it is slanted. The scoop is at an angle this way here. So that works out really nice. Overall, the construction on this knife is amazing. Everything, like I said, is so well rounded and smooth. When you have the knife in your hand, it just feels so smooth all around. There's no sharp edges at all on this knife. Let me see, I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I'm gonna... Okay, I'll start with this side here. How about that? Let's do... Yeah, okay. Focus. All right. Yeah, like I said, I just wish that this knife wasn't limited edition. I mean, it's cool that it's limited edition, but I wish they would make this knife, as normal production, because it is an amazing knife. Let's see if we can get this. We can twist until we lock in. There we go. I heard that little click. Just trying to see what we got there. Sorry, I'm looking over the camera here. Okay. So I guess that answers the question on some people that were asking about the bearings and what they run on. And then you can see the track here for the internal stop pin, which is right here. So we're gonna add a little bit of lubricant, some KPL. If you don't have any, you need to get some. Great stuff. Let's see. Let's put a little bit here. Should be fine. A little bit here. A little bit on this detent track. This should be plenty. See if we can get this. Yeah, the tolerances are real nice and tight. Solid lockup. Super solid lockup. Okay. Put our bearings. Then our washer. All right. Okay. Just make sure everything goes back nice and easy. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue Loctite. Just a little bit there. Let's see here. I like to pour like a little bit off to the side there, and then I put the screw. Just kind of rotate the first couple of threads in there. So I know it's off camera, but I just like to put a little bit, just like that. That might even be a little too much. Are we gonna focus? There we go, whatever. All right. Just to get that started, make sure we're all okay. Put a little pressure on there, make sure that get these guys started up. I'm going to put a little bit of blue Loctite on these body screws as well, even though I know I don't need to. I'm just going to. I don't plan on taking this knife apart again anytime soon. Sorry if I'm off camera. Let's get them started. This is pretty hard to do. All right, there we go. You want to be nice and careful that you're not obviously cross-threading or obviously common sense stuff. Make sure we're all nice and closed up there. Hardware seems to be really nice too. I like that they're going with T8s because T6s could be a pain in the ass. You could end up stripping those out. So, okay, now I'm just putting these, snugging them up ever so slightly. Okay, I'm just making sure everything's looking good. Make sure our pivot is in properly. There we go. See if I can snug that up. Now another thing I want to do. Sweet, wow, perfect centering. That's another thing too is, another good detail is when you take a knife apart and you put it back together, just slap it together more or less, and you don't have to be super conscious about exactly the orientation that you're doing it, and it just goes back together perfectly with perfect centering. That there's something to say about that as far as tolerances and machining. Just gonna give it a little, just snug it up. I'm not going to do any crazy brute strength or nothing there, just enough to get her nice and snug. Yeah, that's plenty snug. And then the pivot is nice and snugged up too. Centering is super perfect. I'm gonna flip here. See, that pivot's a little too tight. Let's see, actually, yeah, it's definitely a little stiff. Let me back off a little bit, just a hair. So we got here. It's better. Still a little stiff, but I'm gonna keep it that way. There you go. Oh, that hit my finger on the way. There you go. Sweet. Another thing that I do like is I'm not a big fan of super drop shutty knives a lot of the time, because when you, especially for this knife, when you disengage, I don't want it to just swing down on my finger, you know what I mean? I do like to be able to just let the knife, as I move it, it just stops wherever I push it. It's just much easier to, for me, that's what I like. It's just so smooth. You don't feel any of the bearings, like bearing crunch on some knives. If you have bearings and you just go like this, you can feel the bearings rolling around. It kind of feels a little crunchy, or you just really feel it. When I do this, it literally feels like this is running on washers, or you can't really tell it's on bearings. It's just so smooth. You don't feel any crunch. You don't feel any wobble or any type of bumpiness or nothing like that. It's just super smooth. So that's definitely really nice. It will break in. Obviously, it's still very new. I'm going to wipe it all down. What else did I want to bring up about it? Let's see here. What do I not like about the knife? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I could have went without the lanyard. If they didn't have this lanyard here, you can see it's not in the way of the knife at all. So it's just some dead space back here. I mean, I'm okay with it. I probably will put a lanyard on it just to do it. You could always just take it off anyway. But you can see that taper right here at the ends for that lanyard that I was talking about. But I don't know. I could have done without it too. It would have made, the knife would have stopped right here, you know, and you wouldn't have that hole in that point. I think this would look really sweet. But, not a big deal. As you can see, the stop pin on most knives are right here. You'll see a pin there. And as we seen a few minutes ago, it's internal. So that's pretty neat. You could see this side of the pivot is protruding, whereas the show side is not. It's nice and flush. It's just something to note there. Not an issue at all. Honestly, I can't really name anything that I don't like about it. When you spidey flick, you can easily spidey flick with your middle finger, but you can't slow roll it with your thumb. It's really hard to do for me. I can't slow roll it out. I mean, I guess I can. You just got to really put pressure on it this way. It's just kind of awkward to hold. See, like I'd slip off, or I really got to put pressure. So what I would like to do if you do want to slow roll it is you could break the detent with your middle finger and just kind of push out, and then you can roll it out the rest of the way, that way. Also, before I forget, the disengagement is beautiful on this knife as well. Lock up, let's see where we're at. We're gonna focus. Lockup is early. See if we'll be able to get her. Oh, able to focus. There you go. So I mean, lockup looks like what, 20% maybe. So real early. Lockup. The disengagement, no jimping, but you do have a cutout there and a cutout here. So your thumb fits in here really nice. You can see that nice cutout here. Thumb fits in real nice. Disengage is so easy, no lock stick whatsoever. And another thing that I really like is that there's no late detent. Late detent is, you know, when you disengage the knife and then the knife's coming down and it stops because it hits the detent, and then you got to overcome the detent. That gets annoying to me with some knives. That's called double clutching, some people like to call it. This knife, you can see how close that detent ball is to the tang. So as soon as you disengage the knife, right away it clears that ball. So it's just, I love that. I wish all knives did that. It clears that detent so quick, you don't feel it at all. You know, I've had some other knives that I've literally sold because of that. So I'll go like this to disengage, and then right here it hits that detent ball, and then you gotta pop it over that. It's just a pain. I really like when they have a nice early detent where it comes off real quick. Nice and stiff detent, not super stiff. You're not shaking this blade out. I'm at a weird angle, so I'm not gonna just start shaking out. Let's see. Yeah, you're not shaking this knife out. So it's got a great detent. Overall, I mean, this knife is literally like a 9 out of 10 for me. What would make it a 10 out of 10? I honestly don't know. This knife's pretty much perfect. Love that forward choil. Like I said, it's jimpless, no jimping anywhere on this knife. You don't need it. When you do choke up on it, you can run your thumb all the way up here if you got larger hands and just kind of stop at this harpoon to get some really good, some really good precise cutting in that way. I mean, you could really bear down on stuff this way if you want to do like some type of whittling, or if you're trying to do some feather sticking or something like that. That would be an option. Oh, the camera's not wanting to focus a bunch here. So, and then another thing too is the black titanium. Now, if you look online or you want to do your own research, doing titanium black is not an easy process. As far as I know, anodizing titanium is fairly simple, but to get titanium to be black is not easy. It's quite of a long, tedious process. As far as what I've seen online, you gotta, there's quite a bit of stuff you gotta do to it to get it to be black. It's just, it's not painted. So this is a stonewash black titanium. So I don't know exactly what they did to get it black like this, but this definitely not a paint or anything like that. So super thin behind the edge, like I said in my first video. And like I said, this thing is just chamfered all over the place. It's just smoothed out all over the place. Even where most knives don't have in here is chamfered. You can see along the lines here on the cutout for the frame lock. Like when you hold this knife and you run your fingers even across here, most knives are going to be sharp around here somewhere. On frame locks, there's going to be some type of sharpness. This knife, literally no sharpness at all. I'm literally just rubbing my finger across here and it's just buttery smooth. This whole knife in hand is just buttery smooth. So, alright guys, it's going to be a wrap for this video. I wanted to definitely let you guys know what it's running on, take a look on the inside, and let me know what you guys think about it. If you guys pre-ordered one, if you guys got one coming in, like I said, there's 410 of the black ones, and then there's going to be 410 of the all gray titanium. And I'm sure you will be seeing these on the secondary market soon on Instagram or whatever. So pick one up if you can. And yeah, so next time, guys, I'll let you know what I think about it after I carry it for a few more weeks, get some cutting done with it. I haven't really cut too much with it. I've just been carrying it, fiddling with it, fidgeting around with it a bunch. So I'll get back to you guys on a longer term review down the road. And until next time, guys, I'll see you on the next video. Have a good one.